Hey guys, welcome back to TCI Fridays, brought to you by the Coaching Initiative. Bow, 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 bow. We can't afford sound effects board yet, so. Do you remember Westwood?
What?
Remember Tim Westwood?
Yeah.
God, I thought you were going to say who? Like, that's the generation. Like, that's the generational gap between me and you. The Tim Westwood gap. Yeah. God, if you don't... I know there's people who are younger who listen to this who don't get our film references.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
So there's definitely a gap where people won't know who Tim Westwood is. But for those of you who do, drop the bomb.
He was going until recently, no?
I thought it's probably still going.
Yeah,
I remember when he did the Pimp My Ride UK.
Oh, wow.
He took over from... He took the role of Exhibit, but in the UK. I think episode 1 they did a hearse.
Class. That used to be so good. MTV, like old MTV.
MTV Cribs.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal's house with the Superman bed.
Yeah. Cribs, Pimp My Ride.
MTV is not a thing anymore.
No.
Anyway. Welcome back. Thank you guys.
It is quite apt for the topic.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, you're right. Thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. We've got some great feedback from people. So we really, really appreciate that. Help us out. Help spread the word. You can...
Spread the good word. Have you heard about our Lord and Saviour, TCI Fridays?
He's here to redeem us. You can help us out. You can share the podcast. That's always really useful. If you want to help us out in a way that's just super easy to do, anytime you see something from TCI come up on your Instagram, like it. There's a little button, right, which is 2 arrows where you repost it. Hit that. That helps spread the word out. Pushes us out to your followers. Which, you know, if you think we're speaking good stuff, then just do that. Just help a small business out, right? So like our stuff, share our stuff, repost our stuff.
It's like eat out to help out.
Eat out to help out, but with less money off. And then the podcast. Like the podcast. If you can, subscribe or review. You know, if you subscribe to the podcast, nothing happens, which is great because it doesn't cause you any inconvenience. It just means that you help us out and push us up the charts. So like us, share us, subscribe us, comment, all that great stuff.
Good with your marketing today.
Mate, I'm turning over a leaf.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, turning over a sunshine on leaf. There you go. If you were listening to the chat beforehand, because we're in Scotland, then that would make sense. But yeah, help us out. It's really good. And today we're going to dive into a question that we had actually on one of our previous about advice to our 25-year-old selves, I think was the thing. But we're going to...
It's longer for you than it is for me.
Exactly.
So.
We're going to extrapolate that advice to younger selves, both in industry and life.
Yeah, I think that's fair because they're kind of one and the same, right?
They do interweave somewhat.
Very much so. Very much so. Advice to younger selves. It's an interesting topic, and I think one that we probably both feel almost a sense of responsibility about because we'll see so many mirror images of our younger selves in coaches we work with and stuff like that. At least I do.
No, I do.
Like little...
I deal with a lot of 5'7" ginger coaches.
Yeah. Kind of poor excuse for a powerlifter.
Yeah,
like,
never really made it.
Yeah.
So they just live... They hide themselves in. Those who can't do, teach. And
I was just thinking that in the last episode.
And those who can't teach
Jim.
There you go.
And if you get that reference...
Well then, let's rock. Let's rock.
Today. Oh, man. Advice to our younger selves. Like, do you want to start or shall I start?
You can start.
I'll start. So one thing that I would definitely tell my younger self from a professional standpoint is allow yourself to play the long game and just put in the groundwork nice and early and understand that when you chase something, it tends to move further away. And, you know, the reality is sometimes it's not about chasing it. It's just give yourself permission to do all the things beforehand rather than trying to get there by skipping little parts.
I like that. The more you chase it, the further away it gets.
It's like
probably said it more elegantly.
It's like a mirage, like in a desert, right? Like you chase it and it just keeps moving further away.
What do you think you were chasing, or what do you think you were maybe chasing, and what do you think people chase now?
I think I was chasing perhaps a maybe I had a different definition of success back then, but I was chasing a sense of success before clearly defining A, what that actually looked like, and B, understanding at the time that there was lots of success I could have drawn out of those moments if I'd have just allowed myself to focus on understanding that I was already making an impact on the people's lives that I was already working with and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you almost, because you're so focused on getting to this thing that you think is success, you're not seeing the success you're actually achieving in your day-to-day.
I work with nightmare clients, and I only want to work with, I want to end up getting to a point where I'm working with great clients. It's like, clients are clients. By the way, this is a huge fucking trap if you do think this. You don't have any nightmare clients. You just have clients. You just have clients, right? Unless you sleep in. Like, you don't have nightmare clients, you just have clients. It's a wild thought process that I hear that so fucking often.
Well, I always remember when we worked at M10, there was a perception of M10. It's funny because we talked in the last episode about what people perceive things to be versus what they are. And that's a really good example of it, actually. But when we were working there, people always used to say, oh, you get a different caliber of client at M10. It's like, do you know any of them?
You clearly didn't see or work with any of them.
Yeah, because... And obviously, there were clients at M10 were lovely people, but just like clients in a Pure Gym are lovely people, right? They are just clients. That's it. The status of them doesn't really change, like, at all.
No.
And I always use the same example. Is I had I was coaching a coach at the time, and he said, "Oh, it's just a different caliber of client." So then, and he had a private studio. And I said, so if I came and worked at your studio, I would never get a result. He said, oh, no, I don't mean that. So, but that's what you're saying. And that's not an arrogance thing from me. The reason that place was different is that there was a group of coaches working in there who all cared about each other's results. Like, that was the thing. And there was like, if I came in with a client, I remember talking to you and Joe about this client that I had. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. And it's not working.
Yeah, I remember that because I think I said to you something like, see, the issue is you've been really stupid and you've just done all this wrong stuff with this client.
Jack went and got 2 pieces of bread.
What are you?
And I remember talking to you both and almost, it was like a case study. I laid out these things and was like, here's where we were, here's where we got to, here's what we're doing, and it's not working. And you both said the same thing. Right, you both said the same thing about, well, you just need to, because we were going for a shoot, we were like, you just need to pull our calories more, but you're operating from a position of scarcity, like you don't want to do that because you think it's too low. Because we'd come from such a position, her maintenance was actually really, really high, but the deficit that we required at that point was so far away from where the maintenance had been. And that was just the reality. But myself at that point wasn't allowing me to see that. I was stuck in this thing of that's an unhealthy position to go into because we'd spent time getting her away from like poor health markers and everything like that. And I realized like because I was too in it, I couldn't make the decision, right? So I had to be pulled out of it or have you guys look at it from an outside view. And that was such a positive position to be in, to be able to go to you guys or go to Jawade or Lizzie or anything like that about things that I was unsure of and get a second or third opinion on.
Yeah.
And that's really what we try and create in TCI is this thing of don't come with your problems, right? Don't come and say like, I'm struggling with, whatever, but come with the things that are stumping you.
Yeah.
Right. Here's what's happening. Here's what I've tried. Here's what's worked. Here's what's not worked. What do you think? Or here's what I'm thinking for the next step. What do you reckon? That's a really useful practice to do.
Yeah.
And like we said in the previous episode, or whichever way these go out, but it's a thing of that's what progresses you forward.
Yeah.
Having an ability to actually speak with a team or speak with a collective of people.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you've only got you.
Yeah.
You've only got you and ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is a very appeasing model, so it will just tell you you're doing everything right, which is not useful.
I think it's hilarious, man. I think it's hilarious when you talk to ChatGPT and you're like, can you do this, this, and this? And it paints it out for you. And it's like, okay, this is something that makes sense. And then you challenge it and you're like, wait, but is this not because of X, Y, Z, and they're like, great point.
Yeah, you've made a really useful point there.
Oh, thank you, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You useless piece of shit. Claude's becoming a big thing now as well, isn't it? I don't know. I've never used it. So that leads me to then a second piece of advice to my younger self, which is in the first 1 to 2 years, I probably didn't rub elbows enough with as many coaches that I would like to aspire to be like. And I say that's very specifically because I spent a lot of time with coaches or around coaches. Obviously, Virgin Active, there was plenty of coaches around. There's a couple of coaches at the first gym I worked at as well, but they weren't inherently coaches that I wanted to be like. And thus, I kind of normalized that as like I'm different, blah, 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 but then didn't find my similarity. I didn't find the coach version of me elsewhere early enough, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas like I speak to some of our guys now, some of the students, some of our clients, where like they're frustrated a little bit with maybe what like where they're at and stuff like that, but they're like 2 years in, and I'm like, at 2 years in, I would fucking love to have known what you guys know and to be in circles that you guys have.
Yeah, it's a different. It's all they know, though, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing is that it's just all they know. So yeah, that's fair. I think I would say to my younger self, I would definitely have a different relationship with failure and a different perception of failure, and that's something that we've always. People are always talking around, and the concept of something, you can have a concept of something and you can have an understanding of a concept, but you don't know how deep that thing goes, right? So it's literally like digging a hole. Your understanding is you digging that hole. So the deeper it goes, the more you understand. You could probably dig that hole forever.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what we talked about loads in the past, where you need to get away from this idea of knowing everything about it because that is impossible, right? You just can't. You just cannot. And if you're holding on to the idea of, I'm going to master this thing, pursuing mastery in something is to consistently try to understand it more, not to ever fully understand it. And I think that's a thing that's often missed. If you're talking in that absolutism, that's the same to me as trying to complete the gym. Right? We always use that analogy of if you lift 100, great. There's always 101, 102, all the way up. You're never gonna outlift the gym. Gravity will always win eventually because iron doesn't get tired like you do, right? So it's not a thing of trying to know it all. It's just a pursuit of knowing more and understanding more. And I think that's a really cool thing. Anyway, the idea of the perception around failure and what that might look like or what that might mean. The reality is getting to the position I'm in now is just a result of lots and lots and lots and lots of consistent failure.
Yeah.
I was listening to a Louis Theroux podcast the other day, and he was saying about it was a Sam Beckett quote, I think, Samuel Beckett. It was like fail and then fail again, but fail better. And I love that concept of you just fail again, but you fail better than you did before. Because if you're not going to fail, well, then you're just not going to do anything. Yeah. But then by not doing anything, inherently, you failed.
Yeah.
Right? So you may as well just fail the way that is going to actually take you further.
Yeah.
So, and it's seeing it as a different thing to what it is. Failure is getting stuff wrong, but it's not getting stuff wrong, no one's going to die as a result of your interventions, hopefully, unless, you're a really bad coach, but it's just a thing of consistently moving that thing forward. So I think maybe redefining that idea and having a better relationship with it, maybe.
So does that go into, so when you were younger, did you fail and have a poor relationship with that, or did you hold yourself back because of fear of failure?
I think when I was young, it was probably the first one, and then when as I got older, it was probably the second one. Because I think I used to just not think about stuff, not in like a bad way, but I wouldn't worry about stuff as such. I would just do. And then what I found is that changed all of a sudden, and then it fell into a position of I was overthinking everything, right? I was overthinking any So like we went years where we didn't really post anything,
Yeah.
right? And that was definitely from an overthinking standpoint of, oh, well, what about this and what about that, and what would this person think and what would that person think, and you know, da da da. Da. And I don't regret that as such, because we used to talk all the time. So when it was like me, you, Joe, Wade, when Lizzie joined later, and Craddy and Reese and everything, and you know, when we had that sort of group, but if it was me, you, and Joe, we would talk around stuff a lot. And that ability to have those conversations and go, yeah, I know, but you know, here's my opinion based on my understanding, and what about in this situation? You throw all these caveats and stuff, which is fantastic, because that's what it is, right? That's what discussion is and debate is. You and Joe, Jack and Joe used to have debates, right? And it took me a couple of goes to realize that they were actually friends. Because when they would both have a point, right? And this is so healthy, by the way. When they would both have a point, they would talk about it like from a really strong position. And I'd be like, it sounds like these lads are going to they're not going to start scrapping, but they're going to go at each other. But that's just how...
The funny thing is, like, I feel like anyone that's in our immediate circle now...
Yeah.
Or, like, didn't know any, like, or hasn't known us more historically, probably can't visualize that for me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with
horizontal.
that. Yeah, literally. But when Jack's got... You can be quite stubborn.
Yeah.
When he's got a point, he will stand by it and not say he's wrong. and his wife will attest to that. Shout out, Common. But yeah, so they would like have it, and you then realize that, oh, okay, no, they're just having a discussion, right? This is just a debate. This is what healthy debate is. Here's my point. Here's my point.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and disprove, and this is the important bit, your point, not disprove you as a person or your ideology or anything like that, right? Yeah. So we would have all these discussions and stuff. So I think you could never translate that onto something like social media, because there's not the bandwidth for it, right? You can't fit a 90-minute conversation into 90 seconds. It's just not doable. So I think that was something where I was like, oh, well, you know, we talked around this and we talked around that and blah, blah, blah. So now it's more like, okay, well, I finally found the position where I can talk about stuff in a really non-absolute way. So, you know, putting a video out saying, this is something that worked well for me and my clients at some points, and me and some of my clients, it might work for you. Yeah. And it's just leaving that thing of, oh, it might not, but I never said it would, you know? And it's not like I need to cover my back. I'm not worried that someone's going to do it and be like, well, this didn't work, so you're an idiot. But it's just, that's what I feel personally is how I would want to talk and how I would want to, you know, communicate that stuff. So, yeah, there was a point where I just kind of overthought everything. But as with a lot of people and a lot of situations, that overthought leads to zero action. Yeah. Right? And then zero action feeds into what we were talking about a second ago, where because you're not acting and moving, you're failing, or you feel like you're failing. So then you've got all this like knowledge and things you want to say, but you're not saying them, so you feel like you're failing and da-da-da-da, and then you're just in your own head. Yeah. Right? So I think if I was going to give advice to myself at a younger stage, it would be just something you said to me, just get away from this idea of perfect action. And fall into imperfect action. Yeah. Because imperfect action will at least move you forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think that works in most endeavors as well.
Totally.
I think that's quite a nice like personal piece of advice as well, rather than it just being through a professional lens.
Yeah.
All right, let's go down the personal advice route then. So if that's mostly from like a professional lens, so for me, like play the long game. And I know I say for me, but in reality, we would probably give our younger selves the same pieces of advice. So like the imperfect action, I would definitely say that to my younger self as well.
Yeah.
From like a personal lens, I would say, and this maybe touches on something we talked about on our last meeting when I asked you how your first meeting with so-and-so went, and you talked about emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Is that I would probably tell my younger self that although you're going to dedicate a lot of your time to coaching, which is fine, and you can let that happen, don't feel guilty for having a life outside of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would tell myself. But within the space of alignment, like, don't also feel bad if there's a short phase you go through where you don't feel like this, you've not got a life outside of it, because there's times where you're going to have to like hyper dedicate if you want to build a business.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone, and if you do, please message me and let me know who they are. But I don't know
And
anyone
how you did it.
that's built an incredibly successful business that hasn't had to work really fucking hard for it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to work really hard for it, there's going to be time and effort and energy that has to go into that. So don't feel guilty if that happens, but also if there is opportunity to also have a life, it's okay to lean into that side of it as well.
Yeah, I think this is a great discussion because we talked about stuff like this before, but I think this is useful for people to hear because even though we talk a lot, I remember talking to you about like I was struggling with this idea of like I felt like I was making mistakes with clients, or I wasn't doing this thing with clients, or I was struggling with this particular thing, and blah blah blah. And I was talking to you about it, and you literally went, "Oh yeah, like I had that like last week or whatever." And in my head, and bearing in mind, I know Jack very well at this point, and this is not like that long ago. And then I remember thinking, thank God for that, because same thing, you get in your own head and you think that my perception of you was that like it was flawless at that point, right? That you just found these rhythms and everything like that. And I was like, shit, what am I missing here? So to have that shared thing is really, really, really useful. Because something you said years and years ago, which I thought was really nice, and I still sort of hark back to now, is this idea of be in on what you're doing. Right. And which is hard to do, right? And I know that it's, you know, we're going to say this, and it's not that we do this every single time, but this is the thing that you try to get closer to.
It's not like a task, like, all right, tick that off. Like,
exactly.
it's a more of a mantra.
Exactly, right? So if you're relaxing, be in on that relaxing, right? If you're working, be in on that working. Don't try and relax whilst looking at your messages from your clients, because that ain't relaxing. You know, if you're watching a film, watch the film. Don't watch the film and also look at that thing from Instagram, that exercise breakdown that you're trying to figure out, because that's not how your brain is going to work. You know, you're trying to ask it to do two things rather than just stepping away from one of them. And I think that is something that people struggle with in and outside of the fitness industry. And it's probably perpetuated more now because of what people believe to be true. So I think that that's a good sort of route to go is be in on what it is that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
We're podcasting right now. I'm not going to be checking my email at the same time.
True.
Because that's rude. But also because then it takes me away from what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that would be
I like that. Yeah. I like you say, I think it's because that's probably one of the pieces of feedback I've heard most from the podcast so far is like other coaches saying it's just good to hear what you guys have either struggled with or do struggle with, or what you've gone through, or, you know, your journey and stuff like that. And obviously to us, there's a part of it that's kind of normal. So you don't think about talking about the normal, you think about talking about the exceptional. Or there's also parts of it that's like, I'm not anti-vulnerable, but I have less predisposition to talking about struggles than I do talking about, you know, and I think that's just, maybe there's a part of that that's like toxic positivity from being a personal trainer, right? Where you get tarred as like the Mr. Positive and stuff like that in your sessions, because obviously most PT clients are so swung the other way in terms of negative perceptions that you spend most of your time focusing on positives. But I think that would be a good thing to integrate into the podcast a little bit more, is like even the stuff we still struggle with. Yeah. I think that'd be interesting.
I've got one for another episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got one for another episode.
I think if I was to give myself another piece of advice, it would be to be okay with your struggles and to not hide that away. Yeah. I still find it now, even with my calls with Jen, obviously from like a coaching standpoint. So I have calls with Jen that basically open up doors into anything I want to explore in the coaching realm, I always lean into coaching struggles, leadership struggles, etc. Things that are very safe to admit you struggle with,
Yeah.
as opposed to go in
Familiar struggles.
yeah. As opposed to go in like, oh yeah, I've not been doing this, or this is a personal struggle that I'm struggling with, or blah blah blah. And I find that so interesting.
Yeah.
That's like it's just like, this is safe to talk about.
Yeah, it's really something you said there about like it being, you know, the normative struggles that people have. I always think that there's such a beauty in mundanity, right? And there's such a hilarity in mundanity. I really love that. Whenever I go home, the people around me are quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
But how would you define normal? Right? How are you defining that? Because surely everybody is this individual. So if they're individual, they're exceptional or they're unordinary, right? And mate, there's so many times where like I couldn't write it down fast enough. The things that people say and the way they say it and everything like. But you know, when you watch a comedy, so like Gavin and Stacey, you watch Gavin and Stacey and you go, "That's so funny." But the only thing that's funny is that it reminds you of people in your life.
Yeah.
You know, so when they're talking about somebody, and it's like, oh, you know, it's such and such, da 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 da, and it's like this sort of ping pong conversation to get to a point. Honestly, like hanging out with my family, it's like that. Like it's so fast sometimes, and it's hilarious. But that's just how people talk, right? And it's just such a normal thing. It's just such a normal thing in the way people talk and the way people converse. And I always think that if you can capture that, that's what makes something brilliant. So the struggles that people deal with, professional and personal, they're so normative that everybody probably deals with them on some level and can relate to it in some level.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying, because that idea of exposing it puts you on the line.
Yeah.
Because if you came on a podcast and was like, here's something that I'm struggling with, it's like, everyone's looking at Jack.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at you, and you're.
I know, or it's like a broken perception where it's like, ooh, I didn't know he struggled with that, or he shouldn't struggle with that.
Because I thought Jack was a professional. I thought Jack was a good personal trainer. But that's the thing, right? And obviously it's not like that, you know, because everyone struggles.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone struggles with stuff, and it's the ability to expose that and then, you know, move past that. Yeah, it's something that I really struggled with and still do. I'm totally fine saying this. It's a little bit exposing, but the idea that when somebody leaves a service, I have to remind myself that it's not a personal thing. Right? I have to catch myself and go, this is not rejection of me as a person.
Yeah.
Right? And that is such a normal feeling, right? And it doesn't make you a bad person. You just can't ruminate on that. And in my call with Jen, my first one, we were talking about this difference. So you said about emotional investment versus emotional attachment, right? And emotional attachment, it's like you become the life force of the result for the client, right? So if the client doesn't get a result, you put all the blame on yourself. And that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
That's really, really dangerous, because I know that people say you've got to care about results more than your clients do sometimes. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like legit, you can't do that in a healthy way.
It just affects the way you coach, usually negatively.
100%, because now you're operating from a position of scarcity, a position of desperation, and a position of something else cool, right? Another good word, right?
Fear.
We'll put that in post credit, and a position of fear. Cut that. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Whereas, and I think that if I was going to really make it a really like hash job of making this point, but if I was going to bring it back to something super simple, it comes, in my opinion, down to a fear of not being sufficient enough, right? Or in my opinion, it's a fear of you feeling like you just as a normal whatever person isn't enough. So you have to have this like deep-seated care for somebody to get a result, and you show that deep-seated care by being at the beck and call all the time, if you like, right? Yeah. That's not it, right? Because, and if we're going to put this into coaching terms, a client result is a two-way street.
Yeah.
You've got to have the stuff laid out. So you've got to do your bit and show them the process and explain how it's going to work and da. They then have to go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do it for them, right? Just like nobody can do your stuff for you, right? You have to go and do it. And that's it. That's it.
Simple as.
Right? That doesn't mean as a coach that you just go, well, it's down to you. No. It's down to both of you, right? So make sure you're doing your bit, but you don't need to overstep it and go, well, I'm giving all this, so the client's going to give me all that back, because there's nothing to say that they will or that they should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. We've definitely gone through phases of that. Like,
Totally.
gone through phases where, if you talk about it like a 50-50 relationship, where when the client doesn't uphold their 50%, I've lent in to try and give them more. And when I say more, I don't mean like more as in, let's jump on a call and discuss it out, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've just completely tried to do things for them and make their life really fucking easy, which is not what you should do. And then I've also done the opposite, where when they pull back, I pull back, and I don't think that is great either. I think you should just fucking do your job.
Do your job.
Just do your job. Can this be our new slogan?
I think Roy would sue us.
Just do your job, because if they pull back and you pull back, well, that's not going to help them either.
I totally agree with that.
Right?
And I've been so guilty.
Definitely.
I've been so guilty of doing well, if they're giving me nothing, I'll give them nothing.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, if they give you nothing and you give them nothing, nothing happens. Right? And then eventually, when the next direct debit comes around, the client will leave.
Yeah.
Because why on earth would they stay?
Yeah.
And you don't want them to stay either.
Yeah.
You know, the best thing in that situation is for you guys to go your separate ways.
Yeah.
But in the same thing that we talked about before, right? Have a really honest conversation about it.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think, like, what would I say to my younger self? You know, if I had the opportunity, I'd probably say just act, or don't be so scared.
Yeah.
You know, I think being scared is a totally normal thing, right? But you should just do it. Like, you should just do, and I would also say, have more of an appreciation of where you are. Because this is still something that I struggle. I realize I'm going off that point to talk about another point now, so I'll try and bring it all back. But the honest conversation thing with the client, right? You just need to go, hey, look, here's the evidence. Here's what I'm observing happening. Observation even, not a judgment, right? Here's what I'm observing happening with the process. You're not engaging, and we've already made some adjustments and you're still not engaging. So I just don't think this is right to do at the moment. So I feel like we should have a discussion about potentially parting ways and coming back together at another point when things are in a better place. What do you think? Even if you end up staying in a coaching relationship, right? At least you're having the discussion around the actual error, and around the actual fault, rather than going, okay, well, can you do your check-in next week? Yeah, cool. I won't do it then either. Right? That's totally fine. Like, just have the discussion.
Yeah.
Just have the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what my other point was. What was I talking about?
So we were talking about leaning in, pulling away when the client pulls away.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Nothing happens. It being okay with the client leaving. You said something about the advice to your younger self.
Yeah. Just don't be so. I think fear is a good thing to feel. Like, you should feel a fear.
Yeah, because it shows that you've got some care in this.
Totally.
If you were super blasé about all your clients leaving, I'd be fucking concerned.
Yeah, because there's no investment there at all.
Exactly. There should be a reflection of, like, did I do everything that I should have done for that client? And if the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, it's like, catch that next time. Like, I'll do that next time. Something
that you really need to get on board with is that reflection, right? Oh, that's what it was. So being more reflective of and appreciative of where I am in the process, because I'm still bad for that now, and I don't want. You know, we're never, and we hope this comes across, we're never talking in, like, ideal terms. We're never saying don't feel this and do feel that and da-da-da-da, because it moves. Like, they're all kind of running at the same time.
Yeah.
But you don't want fear to be your driving force to take you forward.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want fear of being inadequate or not smart enough or blah, 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 blah. You don't want that to be your driving force, because it's A, you'll be riddled with anxiety, and B, you'll never feel a point of like contentment, which is a really good thing to feel, despite what people will tell you, idiots, right? We'll talk about that another time, right? But you know, you don't want that to be your driving force taking you forward. You want to have those moments where you go, I'm really proud of what I've achieved, and I'm actually doing really good at this, and now I'm going to continue forward to continue getting better at this.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas I think I used to lean on that thing of, oh no, I almost like I couldn't take a compliment about it. You know, oh, you're a really good coach. No. A compliment is a gift, right?
Ooh.
Compliment is a gift. Compliment is like flowers. If I gave my girlfriend flowers and she threw them in the bin or threw them back at me, I would be really upset because that's not a very nice thing to do. So if someone gives you a compliment, take your flowers. Take your flowers. Don't throw them back at people's faces.
Very nice. I like that.
We'll leave that there.
Nice. So I think that's a good place to round up. If you enjoyed this and you want to hear more tonality, because I appreciate the tone of this one might feel slightly different, of like where our struggles come in and a bit more transparency there, because that makes you feel a little better, then let us know, because we can integrate more of those kind of thoughts and sharing that stuff. If you want us to get back to the stuff where we just fucking tell you to do your job, tell us that as well. That's absolutely fine.
We cover it all. We're very dynamic on this podcast.
We do.
Very good. Small business?
Amy?
Oh, amazing. So this week's small coaching business shout out. I'll get that right soon enough. So we want to give a very welcome and overdue shout out to Amy Kerr of Mimosa Wellness. So we know Amy. I've known Amy for a while now. I've coached Amy for a couple of years. Also, she has been very progressive in her role. So Amy works at Third Space in London. She's the fitness manager at Moorgate Third Space. Super progressive team there. And she actually reached out to TCI and to myself to get consistent monthly education for those guys, which is something you don't hear about a lot, which is really, really cool. So her whole thing with her team is that she wants to, progress them, make them, and give them the opportunity to progress their own careers.
What a dream manager.
I tell you,
that's unheard of.
Yeah, it actually is, right?
Unicorn.
And that's great. And it's been, a real privilege, and it continues to be a privilege to provide education for those guys under the TCI. It's an awesome thing to be able to do. So we're really appreciative of that. But it's really a really cool progressive thing. We've also had Amy on TCI as a guest lecturer. She did a fantastic presentation for us on endometriosis, dealing with endometriosis, because she is someone who suffers with that or who lives with that, and has got some great information, some great data, really fantastic at spreading awareness around that. She runs a company called Mimosa Wellness, which is a female health company. So go and check that out on Instagram. It's just at Mimosa Wellness. So go and drop her a follow. She's very, very progressive, as I say, with her knowledge around women's health, and really fantastic at pushing that out and creating a space for women to learn about women's health, but also for males to learn about women's health as well, because as a male personal trainer or a coach, you're almost certainly dealing with females at some point. So you do need to have some level of verse around female health. So definitely go and check her out. She did, a presentation for us. She also presented for one of our students' teams.
Who's that?
Sean and Mai's gym. She did a presentation for those guys because she did such a fantastic job for us that they wanted to get her in to talk to their team. So if you've got a team, or if you've got a group of coaches around you want to learn more about female health and endometriosis, go and drop her a message, and she'll be able to sort something out. Lovely stuff.
I really enjoy it. I feel like this is one of my favorite features of this podcast.
The small business coaching shout out.
I like it.
Got it right.
It changes. Business and coaching changes every single time you say it.
Jack doesn't know what he's talking about.
We'll find an abbreviation for it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But no, it is good. It is good. It's good to spread the word. So yeah, go and check her out. Any more information, just drop us a message. All right, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us if you want to talk about, or if you want to tell us what you want us to talk about. Jack Haig Coaching on Instagram, Anthony Miles Coaching on Instagram, or The Coaching Initiative on Instagram, or you can drop us an email, info@thecoachinginitiative.net. We will see you on the next one.